people are going to complain about, oh, there's a halftime concert or there's a pre-match concert. And, well, you better get used to it because Infantino and FIFA and anyone else involved in this sees the opportunity here. And the opportunity is big bucks, especially in a market where soccer is not the number one sport. Major League Baseball couldn't have scripted a better World Series in 2024. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers versus Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees. New York versus LA, right? The Knicks versus the Lakers. Hollywood versus the Big Apple. It couldn't have been any better. The ending, at least for Yankee fans, a little questionable. While neither star rose to the occasion and their teammates were really the ones who kind of galvanized their clubs and especially the Dodgers to success, we're seeing something similar this weekend in Major League Soccer where it's Messi versus Müller, World Cup winner versus World Cup winner. Is the Argentine going to step up or is the German? Major League Soccer probably couldn't have scripted this any better, so we'll just have to see who hoists the 2025 MLS Cup. We talk Major League Soccer championship, the World Cup draw, and mental health on this episode of Finance of Football. I feel like a baby bird kicked out of the nest, all on its own, fending for itself for the first time, because unfortunately, as you can see or hear, I am not joined by my fantastic co-host, Asla. Speaking of baby birds and mama birds, congratulations to Asla and her husband, Jonathan, who welcomed their daughter, Milo. And the Finance of Football family has just added a new teammate, our new star, if you will. So Asla is MIA, doing MOM mom duties for the next few weeks. So it'll just be me. Lots of great stuff has been happening as we come into the holiday season, coming off of Thanksgiving weekend. We had the MLS Cup semifinals, the Western Conference final and the Eastern Conference final. And, MLS, I don't think they could have scripted a better final for the 2025 MLS Cup. We have Messi versus Müller. We have Inter Miami versus the Vancouver Whitecaps. I think maybe if MLS wanted to do things a little bit differently, they would rather, Son and LAFC against Miami and Inter Miami. But you have two world-class stars, World Cup champions, leading their respective clubs against each other. You have East Coast versus West Coast, U.S. versus Canada, Southeast versus Northwest. It's going to be fantastic. You look at what Miami did, and it was just a complete dismantling of NYCFC and a 5-1 victory in New York. And, having earned the most points throughout the season, Miami will play host to Vancouver, who beat San Diego in convincing fashion as well, too. So it's been a heck of a run for both of these clubs. And with the Eastern Conference final, Messi lifted his 47th trophy in his career, extending his all-time record as the most decorated male football player ever. And not only that, he recorded an assist, which puts him number one in the all-time assist list as well, too. So add another record to his illustrious, stellar career. Personally, I believe he is the GOAT. Other folks will say Cristiano Ronaldo. Some say Pele, Maradona. There's so many amazing players that we've been fortunate, many of us, to watch in our respective lifetimes. But to me, Messi takes the cake. It's goals, it's assists, it's individual success, it's domestic, it's international, it's team. You name it, he's done it. And, you look at the investment that David Beckham, Jorge Mas, and just the folks at Inter Miami and MLS really, put into bringing Leo Messi to Major League Soccer and to the United States. We saw this when David Beckham came to the LA Galaxy 20 odd years ago, and the change and the floodgates that he opened, becoming the first designated player and just really changing what MLS was. And you're seeing that with Miami. He's taking it to a completely different stratosphere, and it's paying dividends on the field and off of it. On the field, Messi's helped, Inter Miami win the Leagues Cup in 2023. They were Supporters Shield winners in 2024, and obviously Eastern Conference champions here so far in 2025, one match away from hoisting the MLS Cup. And that match kicks off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, December 6th. So not only has Messi helped guide Miami, a relatively new team in Major League Soccer, to success, he's won 2024 MVP, 2025 Golden Boot, and is obviously one of the finalists for MVP this season as well. So it's just, winning follows Messi, and Messi, I don't know if he follows winning or chases it down. He certainly just has this relationship that not too many athletes, you look at a Michael Jordan, a Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, there's not a lot of people who have existed at any point in humanity that have had so much success and influence like Leo Messi has. And, not only is he bringing the hardware and the success on the field for the club, both individually and from a club standpoint, dollars follow, right? Inter Miami, obviously having David Beckham associated, and then now Messi, they've JP Morgan Chase, Royal Caribbean, Duracell, Lowe's, Visa, all of these major blue chip brands have joined the pink and white of Miami because of Messi, right? And they have the new stadium opening up, and that's why Messi signed an extension to help usher in that era. And I think it's world-class investment, world-class marketing by Miami, by Beckham, by Mas, by MLS, throw in Apple, throw in Adidas, just everyone who's involved with bringing Messi to Major League Soccer is reaping the benefits of who this player is. And no offense to Thomas Müller and the Vancouver Whitecaps and all the amazing players they have, but I think there's going to be a lot of people who are rooting for Messi and Miami to hoist this trophy on Saturday for all the reasons I listed above. But before we get to the MLS Cup final on Saturday, there is more soccer excitement in the United States, and I'm talking about the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw happening at the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. on December 5th. So we have 42 of 48 nations have qualified for the World Cup. We still have some final play-in scenarios and matchups to get those last 6 teams in, but we will know the groups at least on Friday, December 5th. So here's a little caveat is for the first time ever, a World Cup draw will not name the venues and kickoff times for the 104 matches, which is a World Cup record. So we will know the groups for the 2026 World Cup on Friday, but we will not know what the matchups are, the venues, or the kickoff times until Saturday at 12 p.m. noon, because FIFA is deciding that they want to split those into separate entertainment shows or opportunities. So President Gianni Infantino and to be determined / unnamed FIFA legends will be hosting this live broadcast on FIFA.com and various other platforms on Saturday afternoon, 2 hours before the MLS Cup final takes place, where we will find out the venues and kickoff times for these matchups. So that begs the question to me is, does FIFA really need those couple hours, those 12 to 18 hours in between the actual draw for the groups and then announcing this the following afternoon to say, okay, well, we want these guys to play here and these guys to play this team? Like, I don't know if they really need that, because this is, again, a tournament that's being hosted in multiple time zones. We have 3 different countries, right? US, Canada, and Mexico. So I get there are a lot of details and various factors that are going to go into this. And it is the largest field ever in World Cup history. But you're telling me they don't have this figured out yet? They don't have it figured out by now, knowing that, this team in Group A plays this team in Group A on this date and in this venue. I understand there's a lot of logistics in terms of, travel and accommodations and all of these things, but I assume you would have it figured out 6 months before the tournament kicks off, right? Or is this just another opportunity for FIFA to sit here and say, hey, here's more pomp and circumstance and more entertainment around this World Cup, right? We've seen the investment and the marketing money that went behind the FIFA Club World Cup this past summer, and now we're starting to see it with the World Cup this summer, where it's becoming entertainment, and that's very American. And speaking as an American, I can say that, where you have something like a draw or a draft of players in the NFL and the NBA and you have a draw here where you're going to pick the different names and show who goes in this pot and who goes in this group. These aren't necessarily made for TV moments, but they're becoming made for TV moments because they know people will tune in. And when people tune in, advertisers, cha-ching, they make their money. So is this second conversation, this second stream that FIFA's having on Saturday afternoon, is it another way for them to bring in money from advertisers who can sit there and try to market to folks for another couple extra hours after they watch the draw the day before? So again, I don't know what the ultimate end goal is. Well, we all know what the ultimate end goal is. The ultimate end goal is to make as much money as possible. And I'm not just speaking from FIFA. I'm speaking about any company ever in the history of humanity. But is it too much? Can you not sit here and say, okay, if we have Group A is Mexico versus Australia, they're playing on this day and this time. Like, why do we need to wait? Why do they're going to sit there? FIFA is going to sit there and crunch all of these numbers and these time zones and all of this thing from, Friday afternoon until Saturday afternoon and then say, okay, here it is. Here's our magic formula. Or are they just going to sit here and make us wait even more with bated breath and be like, oh, I can't wait to tune in to see who this is. And then they'll sit there to advertisers and say, we had 3 million people tune into our live stream to find out who's playing who and whether they're playing in Mexico City or Monterrey. Now we can sell this to you. And guess what? We're going to do it in 2030 when the World Cup is in 6 countries. And guess what? We're going to do it for the Women's World Cup. And so again, I don't know the goal behind this. If I had Infantino's number, he probably wouldn't answer if I ever called him. But I would love to know, and I'm not just trying to crap on FIFA here, but is this becoming a new norm where all of these different things are turning into these spectacles and these events, right? The Ballon d'Or, it's the same thing. It's this huge black tie event where in the past it really wasn't. So is this just the business of the beautiful game showing its head again here? And how many more of these little events and little opportunities are we going to have between now and next summer? And then people are going to complain about, oh, there's a halftime concert or there's a pre-match concert and all of those things. Well, you better get used to it because Infantino and FIFA and anyone else involved in this sees the opportunity here. And the opportunity is big bucks, especially in a market where soccer is not the number one sport. So there's opportunities that if we're at here right now, we can get up to this level. We can take this through the roof if we wanted to. But how do you encourage fans? How do you encourage advertisers? How do you encourage people to continue to stick with it and not see through, oh, this is just a money grabbing opportunity. I'll just see the graphic on social media when the event is over. But I bet you both Friday and Saturday FIFA events are going to pull decent numbers. And again, that's a credit to FIFA. That's a credit to their partners and everybody else involved, knowing we can drag this out from a 1-day thing into a 2-day thing. And if you don't believe me, look what the NFL does with their draft. It used to be 1 day. Now it's a whole week. They televise on Thursday night or whatever night it starts, and it goes through the entire weekend. And they sell out stadiums and venues in Nashville and Pittsburgh and all around the country, and they get 200,000 people for me to go up on stage and say, with the 3rd pick, the New York Giants are taking. It's wild. But that's what FIFA's doing, and that's what FIFA's learned from sports in the U.S. And if you don't like it, then just tune in for the kickoff. I don't know what to tell you. Finally, before closing tonight's episode, I want to give a shout out to Ronald Araújo and FC Barcelona. The defender and the captain asked the club to take some time away from the club due to some mental health issues he's been dealing with. The 26-year-old has made 15 appearances this season for FC Barcelona across all competitions, and he last played in their Champions League match midweek. He didn't feature over the weekend in La Liga, and a lot of folks were kind of wondering why, or they were saying that he isn't up to the standard that he's played at recently. And clearly there's something happening behind the scenes. Head coach Hansi Flick didn't address it in his most recent press conference. He said, hey, listen, he's out. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not going to speak out on it anymore. Let's give him his privacy. Obviously, those aren't his direct words. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. But, sources confirmed to ESPN that the Uruguayan has not been, quote, 100% mentally for a while and requested the time off. So, again, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, not only behind the scenes, but between his ears, right? Like, we don't know what is affecting this man. And I say man because he is a man. He is not a robot for our entertainment. People forget that athletes are human beings. They're like us. They still go through all the issues we're going through. Now, is it different when you're a teacher and you're making $50,000 a year, or you're a world-class soccer player making $50 million a year? Yeah, of course it is. But you still battle these issues because you're human. And we're all human after all. And to sit here and, I know it's not a lot of people, but I'm sure there are some people who are gonna sit here and say, well, why isn't he playing? Or he's not hurt. He's match fit. He should be out there playing. Mental health matters, whether people believe it or not. This isn't some sort of conspiracy. Mental health matters, and especially this time of year where it's the holidays and it can be overwhelming for a lot of people, right? Not everyone has the perfect family to go home to and drink hot cocoa and sit around the fireplace and, exchange these amazing stories. So credit to the player and credit to the club for acknowledging this situation, having a mature conversation about it, and then granting the player the time, the space, and the support that he needs. Because far too often, whether it's active players or players who retire, and whether they get injured or they have some sort of mental health kind of issue, they don't get that support. And it's kind of, see you later, you're out there on your own, you have to deal with this by yourself. And that shouldn't be the case. I think we all need a little kindness and a little empathy, especially this time of year. Mental health matters, and let's just be kind to each other and treat each other, with respect, and understand you don't know what other people are going through unless they tell you. And that's certainly the case here. Thanks for bearing with me. Again, congratulations to Asla and her husband on their new addition to the family, and our family here too at Finance of Football. We're very excited for Milo to be joining the fold. Only a couple more episodes left until we close up shop for the holidays. I'll have a special guest host joining me next week to discuss the MLS Cup final and who hoists that trophy. We'll also talk about the World Cup draw and all of the excitement coming to North America next summer as well. And then after that, we have special guests, not just one, but two. We have a husband and wife joining the show for the final episode of 2025. And we couldn't be more excited. And especially me as a Jersey boy, hint, hint. So again, thank you everyone who's followed along this entire time. Great things to come to close out the year, and even better things to come in 2026. So we will see you guys again next week. Be sure to follow us on social media, Finance of Football Pod on Instagram, Facebook as well, Finance of Football, LinkedIn, YouTube, and you can follow us wherever podcasts are found. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. We're there.
Finance of Football comes to you from the Frequency Machine Podcast Network. Hit us up on social on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for more football business and our enlightened opinions. This episode was produced by co-hosts Asa Pellet and Michael LoRé. It was edited by Ryan Hammond. Mixing and mastering by Julian Kwasniewski. Our theme music is by Hatam Tsunami. Our show is executive produced by Stacy Book and Avi Glajanski for Frequency Machine. Find more about Finance of Football at frequencymachine.com. Follow us on YouTube at Finance of Football and listen anywhere you get podcasts. Please like and subscribe. Help us reach more people. We love you for it.